It's a lovely Sunday morning, the 23rd of February 2014. This is a block of compressed yeast, baker's yeast. This is a little packet of freeze-dried yeast. And what this strange looking gloop here in front of you is a sourdough starter. This sourdough starter is our own. We made it ourselves. It's very simple to make. You can buy it, of course, in health food stores, but it's so simple to make. And you have your own personalized sourdough that has its own special flavor. You just mix water and flour together and stir it for a while so that as many bacteria and yeast cells from the air where you live, anywhere you live, there are yeast cells and bacteria in the air. They fall into it and they begin a process that gives whatever you're baking a very special flavor, as well as it being a leavening agent. Both the yeast and the sourdough are leavening agents. That means they make the dough lighter, they make the product, in our case the bread, lighter and airier with holes in it. And also the sourdough in particular gives it a very pleasant flavor. In order to use these leavening agents, however, one has to be aware of the fact that they only grow well at a certain temperature, at certain temperatures, generally speaking, warmer than the average room temperature. This is all an introduction into something that I think a number of people will be interested in, or I hope they will anyway. It's called a proofing box. Proofing is the correct term for letting the dough rise. And in fact, you proof the yeast to begin with, but you also proof the dough, meaning that you let it rise so that it gets light and airy, and then when you bake it, it isn't a big heavy clump. I'm going to move the tripod back here and pan out, and you'll see how we solve the problem of proofing our dough. Oops. This is a box that I built and altered. It's just a styrofoam box. It's actually from a butcher originally for transporting meat. And you can see over here on the side, I've mounted a little box with an electric cord going into it, a switch, and a small thermostat. The thermostat is the kind that they use in aquaria and terraria, and the box has in it a light bulb, and this is the probe, the temperature probe for the thermostat. So of course the idea is you put your dough with the yeast or your sourdough starter in here, and cover it a little bit so it doesn't dry out. And you lay your probe on top of the cover there, and then you just close the box. There go my wife and my dog for a walk. And the box then maintains the temperature that you set. The thermostat, let me move this over here a little bit, I think. Thermostat here is visible. Well, it would be anyway here. I don't know how. Let's see what we have here. I think you can see it to some extent here, yes. It's right now it's set at 22 degrees Celsius. And the temperature in the box, because I opened it just now, had the sourdough out for a while, is 19 degrees. There's a light bulb inside the box, of course, and the light bulb is, let's see if we can see that at all here. I guess you can see that to some extent here, yeah. The light bulb is heating the box inside, and when it gets up, when the temperature in the box gets up to 22 degrees, it will shut the light off, of course. It's just a very simple arrangement. I'll show you a video that I made a few months ago, actually, as I was building this box. This is the first one I built, and I used whatever I had in the shop. I had this plastic box here, and I bought the thermostat from eBay for about $15, I think. $12 or $15, I believe. I had to switch, and the cord is just a cord from it's an old computer cord that I just cut off. Clearly, if you're going to make something like this and you don't feel comfortable with doing electric wiring or connecting things up with 115 or 230 volts, in my case, then you'll ask someone to do it who is more comfortable or knows what he's doing, or an electrician. I'm going to take you upstairs now. I'm going to finish another box that I'm making for my sister-in-law. It's her birthday this coming weekend, and I want to get that finished. And this is, as I've said in another video, this is not rocket science. This is very, very simple. But there are a few thoughts that one can give to it when one's making it. So we'll go upstairs and finish the other box and talk about it a little bit. Be back with you in a few minutes. Well, this is the second box that I'm working on here. And aside from the blue color of the styrofoam in a slightly different electrical box, it's basically identical to the one I built for us. I haven't yet put the light bulb in it. It's obviously important when you're building anything with styrofoam that you sandwich it in wood like this. I used thin plywood on, I guess you can see that on the inside and on the outside. This thin plywood, which I screwed on with metal screws. Of course, there's nothing you can, styrofoam you can't put any screws into or anything. They won't. You can put them in, but they won't stay. So if you sandwich it like this, then you have an adequately stable structure to attach something like this thermostat to. And also, I'm going to be attaching inside this this light socket with this little metal bracket, and I'm going to have to drill out the holes here to use slightly larger screws. I don't have any 3mm screws. I'll have to drill it out to 4mm or 4.5, so that these metal screws go in there. It's all very, very simple. One of the things you want to pay attention to, however, is that you don't want to use a large light bulb. You want something like a 25 watt. Also, you have to use an old-fashioned, plain, ordinary light bulb. You can't. It doesn't make any sense to use any of the modern low energy bulbs, because they don't create enough warmth. You need. So I actually had trouble finding one. I got a 25 watt standard incandescent light bulb. If I can get it out of the package here. This one happens to be clear, but it could be frosted. It wouldn't make any difference. You also want to put the light bulb lower in the box. You don't want it up in the top, otherwise the bottom of the box will stay cool. The heat rises, of course, so you put it down low, but you don't put it close enough to the styrofoam that it would melt. However, I say that, but with a 25 watt bulb, the chances of it melting is pretty small anyway. The light only stays on for a very short period of time anyhow. The probe, the temperature probe, is inside, goes into the box, of course. I put a couple of holes here through for the light, for the cord for the light and the probe. You can just lay it then in. You could lay it in your sourdough or into your yeast dough if you wanted to, but it's more than adequate just to lay it in the box up at about the height where the top of the dough is. I lay it usually on top of my container with the dough in it, and it regulates the temperature fine then. These little thermostats can be set to temperature anywhere between room temperature. I mean, unless you have a cooling system, you can't go below room temperature, but from room temperature up to about, I think this one goes up to 60 degrees even. For yeast, you generally use a temperature of about 60 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry, that's, I don't know, I have no idea Fahrenheit. Over 100 degrees in any case, 130 degrees or something. Normally, for yeast, you use temperature just above room temperature, which would be like 22 degrees Celsius or 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And for sourdough, you can go up as high as 30 degrees Celsius, which is something probably 87 or something like that Fahrenheit. I think that's about all I'm going to say about this at the moment. I think it's no use in showing you this when it's done because it's just like the other one. Well, perhaps I will. We'll see. In any case, I hope this was of some interest to someone. And I can only tell you that home-baked bread is very, very special. It's very delicious. And if you get used to baking yourself, baking your bread yourself, you won't be disappointed. Thank you very much for watching. Ciao.